Hello, this is Daniel Mart, and today I'm going to be reviewing another episode of Helix. This one's going to be for episode 7 of season 1 of Helix Survivor Zero. Before I begin though, 10-second spoiler warning as usual from those who have yet to actually watch this episode and haven't already. Stop the video, go check it out, and come back and watch the rest of this review. 10-second spoiler warning as usual, starting now. Okay, so 10 seconds are up. So for those who have yet to actually watch this episode and haven't already, please don't comment down below or be messaging me. That never give you a fair warning, because as usual, I did. So yeah, basically, as usual, quick synopsis, likes and dislikes, and then the rate. So yeah, basically in this episode, you get the introduction of this new lady. She's like a CDC soldier type of thing. She was sent by the CDC to help cure the virus, but she's more like protection. She's more like the muscle. She's more of an army type of lady, and she really just wants to get things done. But it kind of seems like she has a bit of history with Hatake. It seems like they kind of know each other and they do have history. She figures out that they need Julia to some extent. And this is really more of a Julia centric episode in my opinion. This is a really Julia centric episode in my opinion. Basically most of the episode is just her trying to overcome the disease, and it kind of seems like she's been cured by the disease, whether it's by the medicine she's been taking, or which is basically morphine, or whether it be just her body, taking it out of the system. I think she's, to some extent, she is cured from the disease. I mean, the only real problem she has is that she is hallucinating a bit, and she may be going blind, but which may just be some really major side effects. But it does seem like she is over the initial disease, which in which you spew out black mucus, blood stuff. So yeah, we also have a few things with Daniel, Daniel, and Hatake. Daniel questioning whether Hatake is really his father, and then when Sergio, when Barbosa or whatever, Barbosa or whatever, comes in with his sister, they explain that that to Daniel, that this is a sister and whatnot, and he's starting to question how good of a father Hatake really is and what type of man Hatake really is. So that was interesting. And also, it seems like this new CDC woman or whatever, her name was Sutton, I believe. Constance Sutton, I believe was her name. Whatever, this soldier lady, it also does seem like she does have some history with Sergio, or Bella Rosas or whatever. Because it does seem like they have some history together, more of a romantic history or sexual history. So that's pretty interesting. Her character, basically a bitch. I mean, there's really no other way to explain it. She's kind of a bitch. Very unlikable. I think that's what they were going for, and yeah, it was pretty. I think that's what they were going for, and they did a good job at going for that target. That she was she was basically an unlikable bitch, and that's that was a good portrayal for her. The actress, I don't know who she is, but I think she did a pretty good job at portraying her. I do think she could. Her acting skills, I do think, need a bit more polishing up. In some aspects, could have been better. But overall, she portrayed the character so far pretty well, in my opinion, for the first appearance. Aside from that, all the other actors and actresses in this show did a pretty good job. Just as I expected. More or less good job. Though they all do need a bit of polishing up as usual. The acting is good, but it could be better. There's still some room for improvement. The writing, I do think was a bit weaker in this episode. I do think it was a bit weaker than most episodes. But it was a good script, but I do think it was a bit weaker than most of the episodes. Pretty decent, but I mean, there's just some really bad lines throughout this episode, which is weird because I mean, you do get some bad lines, but here the bad lines are like like almost every, like each scene just seemed to have one bad line. And it was just weird. So yeah, I do think the writing kind of was a little, was a little less than desirable. Was if you know what I mean, it was it's not what I expected basically. So yeah, I mean, I do think the writing could have been improved even by the standards that the show has for itself. Um, so yeah, I mean, I do like how they're trying to interconnect every single story. I still do think that they are trying to shoehorn or shove in a lot of stories or a lot of plot points into one episode. We saw this in the previous episode, and again in this episode. I mean, this episode we have stuff going on with Julia, Daniel, Hitaki, Alan, and now this new sergeant lady. I mean, honestly, I think the stuff with Alan could have been combined a bit more with the stuff with Julia, and the stuff with Hitaki could have been combined a bit more with Danny. But aside from that, the plot lines were great. They do show character development, but I do think some of them could have either been reduced, or something to not make it as complicated. And yeah, also stuff with Sergio. I mean, they did try to tie it in, but the writing kind of made it a bit lousy or whatever. It just didn't make it seem as good as it should have due to the writing. And I think the writing in this episode really just lacked. I mean, so yeah, I mean, they had a good plot, having with the main one being with Julia and her basically overcoming the disease. But como se dice, how do you say, it just, the writing was just, plot-wise, writing and plot-wise, it wasn't all that good. It wasn't really formatted all that well, in my opinion. But overall, it was a pretty decent episode, in my opinion. It does have some major flaws, in my opinion, compared to the rest of the episodes. From previous episodes, it does have some major flaws, and it doesn't really stand up to most of the other episodes that I've seen so far. So yeah, pretty disappointing, I will have to say. I mean, the plot sounded strong, but it just didn't translate that well. It did have its good moments, but overall, there's a few problems with it. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and 6 being decent, I'd give this episode a 6 out of 10. Yeah, so episode 7 of season 1 of Helix Survivor Zero, 6 out of 10 is what I'd give it. And yeah, that's basically it for now. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, and comic book reviews. So definitely do stay tuned for that. Aside from that, like the video, share on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, or whatever you guys prefer. Comment down below on your thoughts on the episode. And yeah, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.